Suppose anyone invested in Delhi or this Delhi and NCR area you take. So in Delhi and NCR, so many investment is happening here. So many people invested, maybe in the real sector, maybe in any industry, and so many things they invested in Delhi. So what will happen in Delhi or NCR area? Due to investments, the production potential will increase, and at the same time, the aggregate demand for goods and services will increase. So what will happen the moment they say, take the example of construction of residential complexes or the any factories. So what will happen? The people around this area, just people around this area, they will come in Delhi as a laborer or from any part of the country. They will come in Delhi to provide their services. So many input producers, they will come in Delhi for supplying this product. So many production units, they will produce for this area. So what will happen? One, you invested in this area, so production has increased, people got employment, their income has increased. Now they started demanding more goods and services for consumption purpose and for other purpose. So the area around this area, they will start producing and they start meeting the demand which is generated in Delhi or NCR. So what will happen? In this area also, the demand for goods and services will go up because you are supplying, so you need inputs. So you will start demanding some inputs to produce and supply in Delhi and NCR. And the moment demand is going up, so you are going to hire more laborers to produce more output. So in this area, demand for labor will go up. Once in this area, demand for labor will go up, so maybe possible the other area, which is here, they will start supplying again in this area. They will start supplying things in this area. Okay. Again, so production will start it from this area also, employment increase. So this in this way, basically investment works. So it is the reason that if you are investing in a particular area, its impact you can see much more in the country. Why? Because there are the multiplier impacts, and this way the multiplier impacts work. Okay, so this is the things you are trying to put in the equation way, that is in the first round, second round, third round, fourth round, like that. And finally, you have seen that in the last class, yes, how much you are investing, the total increase in income will be more than increase in your investments. And how many times it increased, it is known as multiplier. Since it is an investment, due to investment, so this multiplier is known as investment multiplier, and its value is 1 upon 1 minus MPC, marginal propensity to consume. And the last class we also took two different examples, and you have seen that in a country, if MPC is much more or MPC value is more, then multiplier value is more. And if MPC is less, then multiplier value is less. And 1 upon 1 minus MPC is nothing but 1 upon MPS, marginal propensity to save. Because we have seen in the last class, MPC plus MPS is equal to 1. So 1 minus MPC is equal to MPS. So now you are getting that if you write, say, K as equal to 1 upon MPC, which you can also write 1 upon MPS. So you can say, you can just get it, yes, MPS and multiplier, these are inversely proportional. Higher the marginal propensity to save, lower will be the value of multiplier. It is the reason that saving is also known as leakages of the economy. That is the leakages of the economy. So higher the saving rate, less consumption the economy will do, less aggregate demand will increase, and less multiplier will be there. So if you are getting the each and every round how the multiplier works, so you can easily connect it. Yes, the role of savings, higher savings, and the MPC, marginal propensity to consume. Fine. I think in the last class I have already discussed with you the autonomous investment and induced investments.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so anyone tell me what is autonomous investment and what is induced investment?
Sir, induced investments are it is function of interest rates, induced
Mhm,
investments. And
mhm.
autonomous, it doesn't depend on the interest rates that are going on.
Okay, anything more?
So generally, autonomous investments are done by government,
Mhm. And induced?
corporate sectors, and maybe with government also does, but not necessarily.
Okay, and we have established the relationship. What is the relationship between the interest rate and the investments? That relationship we completed in the class or not? It just I defined.
Yes, sir. You told in as the interest rate decreases, induced investment increases.
But
And
while we have took the example of uh, investment opportunity cost, this all we discuss
No,
it or
sir.
not, or just we define?
No. We just defined it.
Acha, we just define. Okay, fine. Thank you. So since already I discussed, so I'm not writing it here. Uh, I discussed with you in the last class. You see, the overall investment in any country, overall investment I'm talking about means total investment in any country. You can categorize in two types of investments. One is known as autonomous investments, and one is known as induced investments. Fine. Autonomous, and if you just divide our economy, who are investing in the country, then you will get one answer. Okay, the investors may be government, investor may be the private sector. Private includes all the producers, all the investors, corporate sector, you can bring it. So just you say the private sector. So one, the government can invest, and second, the private sectors can invest. Now, just think about it. The majority or maximum or more or less a majority of the investment done by the government, basically it does not depend on any indicator like interest rate or level of income. Clear? So these things you have to understand first. Ki say, take the example, ki suppose today government needs to increase, a government is deciding, that we need the hospital. Or suppose government is thinking that, since aggregate demand is very low, so we need to increase aggregate demand. So let us increase aggregate demand. Let us start investing in the country. So here government is taking the decisions on the basis of requirement of the country, requirement of the people of the country, requirement of the country. Okay. So he's working on the basis of the welfare principle. Okay, they want to increase the welfare of the economy. Okay. So even the aggregate demand is very low in the country. That time you can see, today you can see from the last 2 years or more than that, the government investing in the country, even the economy is facing the recessionary impact. Okay. because government knows if we are not able to increase aggregate demand, so we are not able to achieve the higher economic growth and development. But on the other side, if you think about the private investors, they are not coming up for new investments. Most of the investors in the country, they postpone their investments decisions. Maybe Mahindra, maybe Tata, maybe other company, they postponed it. Why they postponed? Because they are thinking that if today we are investing, since market is not showing any higher aggregate demand, so I am not going to sell out my product in the market. If I am not able to sell out, I cannot survive, I cannot make the profit. Why? Because private investors investment motive is the mainly the in profit. Okay, so they will work on the basis of profit, but not the government sector. Okay, but it is not 100% true, dear, because even today, even in the Indian economy, you have seen that in this pandemic, if you are reading the newspaper, you are getting the news, and you are getting it. Ki Mahindra is coming and they started production of oxygen. Maruti is coming and they started the producing the oxygens for the medical services. Even Tata, first the Tata had taken the initiative for go for the production of, so invest for the production of oxygens. And most of the oxygen supplied by the Tata and the Mahindra, they are merely free of cost and they are doing that. So we are not denying here that the private investors are 100% they are doing on the basis of profit motive. No, but yes, majority of the investments, they are doing for the profit maximization, but still they go for, or they are taking the decisions, okay, for the welfare of the economy. It is the reason I am telling you that generally the private investors decide on the basis of profit. Generally means maybe some percentage, maybe some of the producers, maybe some of the corporate sector, they is still investing not for profit maximization, but for welfare maximizations. You have seen so many private corporate sectors, they are investing, they are opening, they are running the schools for the poor people. They are giving all infrastructure. They are running hospitals free of cost to the tribal people, to the poor people, to the minorities. Okay, they are doing that. So this type of investors come under the autonomous nature because they are not investing for the profit maximizations. So what you are getting it overall, if you see the economy, so you can divide in autonomous investment and one you can see the induced investment. Autonomous investment means the investment that does not depend on any factor like rate of interest or level of income. Yeah, level of income also affect the amount of investment, because when a country in the growing stage, in that country the level of incomes keeps increasing, economy is growing faster. Okay, so even at the same rate of interest, investors they prefer to come out and invest more. So here the income is also one of the factor that can encourage, they can induce the investments. And definitely rate of interest is already there. Okay, but government they don't decide their investment. Majority of the investment they don't decide on the basis of rate of interest and level of income. It is just the policy decision of the government. So if you are reading the newspaper or books, so only if investment is written there, so you understand here we are talking about the induced investments. But if they asked, so you can write induced and autonomous both. So in last class we have discussed here investment, which I can represent by I. We have written the investment is the function of market rate of interest, which is I. Okay, and we have discussed I, if market rate of interest increases, then investments will decrease, and if I is going to decrease, I decreases, then investments will go up. Here also you have to say other things. Other things remaining same. Other things remaining same. Okay, I will tell you why you need to write it. Okay, other things remaining same. See dear, before going to the market rate of interest, I'm just saying you कि all interest rate in any economy of the world, I'm not specifically telling about the Indian economy, but all economy if you take in the world, so the rate of interest you can categorize in three parts. One is known as policy rates. Policy rate of interest. Second is known as policy rate of interest. Second is known as market rate of interest. Market rate of interest, or it is known as the lending lending rate of interest. Lending rate of interest. Market rate of interest or lending rate of interest. And third one is known as क्या हुआ यार deposit rate of interest. Deposit rate of interest. ठीक है. So there are only the whole economy in the whole economy you take, and rate of interest when you're talking about, so you can categorize in say, three groups. One is known as the policy rate of interest. We are using this word policy rate of interest. Second, we are using the term market rate of interest, or it is known as a lending rate of interest. Third, we are saying the deposit rate of interest. And these are different rate of interest. First of all, you think about the policy rate of interest. So when you are saying policy rate of interest, take the example of Indian policy rate of interest. So policy rate of interest means it is the rate of interest at which transaction is going on between the central bank and the other financial institutions, including banks in that particular state or country. Again, I'm repeating, when you are saying the policy rate of interest, so policy rate of interest, it means or it implies it is the rate of interest at which transaction is going on between the central bank and central bank and banks of the country, banks and other financial institutions of the country. Okay, if you take the Indian economy, then the example of policy rate of interest are the bank rate, the repo rate, the reverse repo rate, and marginal standing facilities rate, MSF. So these are the rate of interest at which transaction is going on between the central bank, that is the RBI, and all other banks and financial institutions. So transaction is going on between these two. It is known as a policy rate of interest. Second, we are saying the market rate of interest, or we are saying lending rate of interest. So market rate of interest or lending rate of interest, it means it is a rate of interest at which we are the customers, we are the borrowers, we are borrowing from the banks or any other financial institutions. So you are knowing that we are not dealing directly with the central bank, that is the RBI. So any amount we borrow, we are borrowing from banks or maybe commercial banks or any other financial institution, but not the RBI. So the market, when you are saying it is a market rate of interest or you are saying lending rate of interest, simply it means it is a rate of interest at which we are borrowing from the banks and other financial institutions. Or in other words, you can say the market rate of interest or lending rate of interest is the rate of interest at which the banks are providing or banks are giving loans, okay, loans to the public or to the customers or to the borrowers. Simply it means that. So you can say market rate of interest or lending rate of interest. Here where I am saying that investment is the function of market rate of interest. Okay, here you are saying that investment is a function of rate of interest. Here the rate of interest means the market rate of interest or lending rate of interest means rate of interest at which we are borrowing from the banks or banks are lending us. Clear? So second one is over. Third one, when you are saying deposit rate of interest, this is the rate of interest the banks banks give us on our deposits. So you are doing that, you are depositing your money with banks, okay, and on your deposit amount, banks provides or banks give you gives you bank gives you the interest on your deposited amount, and that interest rate is known as deposit rate of interest. So there are three different rate of interest we are using in the economy. Fine. So you must remember, again I'm telling you, the policy rate of interest means the rate of interest at which transaction is going on between the central bank and banks and other financial institutions, which includes, like, take the example of Indian economy, bank rate. So bank rate does not mean the rate of interest at which we are borrowing from the bank. Okay, bank rate means it is the rate of interest at which banks are borrowing from the central banks. Okay, this is known as the policy rate, which includes also the repo rate, reverse repo rate, MSF, etc. Second is known as the market rate of interest or lending rate of interest. Market rate of interest means the rate of interest at which we are borrowing from the banks or banks are lending us. Deposit rate of interest means the rate of interest at which the banks gives us loan on our deposited amount. Clear? Yeah, tell me. Clear now? Fine. Okay. So what we are getting here, we are defining that investment is the function of market rate of interest, or you can say lending rate of interest. And it is inversely related, means if there is increase in interest rate, then investment will decrease, and if there is a fall in interest rate, the investment will go up when other things remaining same. Just think about it. Any private producer, okay, they are deciding investments or they take decisions for investments on the basis of the cost and benefit analysis. What is that? Cost and benefits, cost and benefits analysis. Okay. So if you think about investment, then they are taking the decision on the basis of cost and benefits analysis. So first they will think about what is the cost of investment, and then they will think what are the benefits they are getting from investments. And if benefits, I'm just writing B for benefits and C for cost. If they think benefits are more than cost, then they go for investments. Any project, if they are analyzing that project and they are getting it, benefits is more than the cost, so they will go for the investments. If any point they are getting that benefits is less than cost, means cost is more than benefits, they will not go for the investments. Okay, they will not consider that investments. So any investor, if they are going to invest in a particular country or particular area, first they will go for the market, they will survey the market, they will get it yes, what the maximum benefits I can get it from the my projects or my investments. So after getting it, then they will think about what is the cost I'm going to incur for this investments. And then they will compare it. And any moment if they are getting yes, benefits is more than the cost, definitely they will go for the investment. If they think cost is more than the benefits, they will not go for that. Now here you have to think benefits fine from the so many things from the market survey, other things you can calculate. Okay, but the cost, how can you decide the cost? So cost you can decide on the basis of just cost of fund. You can decide on the basis of cost of fund. Okay, and how can you decide the cost of fund? What should be the cost of fund? So generally cost of fund. Why fund you are saying? Because the fund you are going for putting in investments. So cost of fund considered as the I, that is the lending rate of interest. So I is the parameter, we can say I is the parameter. On the basis of that you are calculating the cost of investments. Okay, take the example of private persons. You take in the practical example any private investors, maybe possible this investor has huge amount of money, they can invest alone without taking the help from the bank and any other finance institutions, but they will not go for the 100% investment from their own money. Okay, maybe possible 10% they will put their own money and 90%, 80% they will take the loan from the banks. They will take the loan from the banks. So this is the way they are doing that. Okay, they are doing that. So if let us consider I am investor and I am going for investment, so definitely I am going to borrow fund from the banks. So even 80% amount I am borrowing, so 20% putting my own money, but this 20% of money cost I will also consider and I can calculate on the basis of 80% of fund cost. So I can calculate the 100% cost of fund. Okay, think about it here. Suppose I am going to borrow money from the bank, say for 10 years. So bank given me money for 10 years and 10 years for only for uses. You use the 10 years, this much amount of money, the amount I borrowed. But for using permissions, they are charging a cost. Every month I have to pay some amount. But that is calculated the per annum. But every month you have to pay some EMI. Okay. So basically they are given us fund. I borrowed the fund from the banks and banks are charging a price on that. And what is that price? It is nothing but it is interest rate. They are telling you, no, you take this fund for 10% at 10%. It means what? As long as you are using their funds, the 10% amount you need to pay to banks. So 10% is the price of that fund. That is the cost of the fund. Okay. So I is considered as the cost of fund. Clear? Now just think about here. Yeah. What I'm telling you, suppose you assume yourself as an investor. And the very practical, if you go and see the domestic investors, also the international investors, so you are getting one thing, and what you are getting it, even suppose the 10,000 crores I'm going to invest in any project. Maybe possible the 20 crores or 50 crores or maybe 100 crores, I will put my own money, but rest money I'm going to borrow from the bank or any other financial institutions. Okay. And after borrowing this money, we are going for any investment. You take the example of any investor in the country like Reliance, Adani, you take Ambani, you can take the Tata, you can take Mahindra, you can take anyone you can think. They are borrowing the fund from the bank. So when you're going to decide for a project, I will take this project. So definitely you have already surveyed the market and you are knowing the what the maximum benefits I can get from the project. But only benefits is the not on the only on the basis of benefits you cannot decide the investment. Why? Because ultimately you need the profit. And profit how can calculate? So benefits, if benefits is more than the cost of investments, then only you are getting profit. Otherwise you are getting loss if cost is more than the benefits. The problem is that how can you calculate the cost? So for calculating cost, you have to think about okay, what is the cost of fund. So take the example, suppose I borrowed money from banks. So banks given me money for a particular period. Say for 10 years, I borrowed from the bank. I'm using their money for 10 years. And after 10 years or within 10 years, I need to pay back all the amount to the banks. But banks given me the use of this fund, but they are charging a price on that. And the price is nothing but it is the interest amount they are charging on the loan amount. So it is the reason that we are saying the interest rate is the one of the indicator of cost of fund. Clear? So now is it clear to all of you? Am I audible to you or not?
Yes, sir, it's clear.
Clear, fine. So just you take one example. Suppose you are standing here and you have five projects. Each project cost is 1,000 crore. ₹1,000 crore. Okay. So you have options of project 1, project 2, project 3, project 4, project 5. Suppose you are investor and you have choice of 5 projects. You can select one of these 5 or maybe 2, maybe 3, maybe 4 or all 5 depending on the cost and benefit analysis. Okay, so basically it's a depending on it's a depending on basically the cost and benefit analysis. So what is your main aim? If a project where you are analyzing and you are getting it benefits is more than the cost, then you're going for that. So let us consider initial interest rate is your say 10%. Initial, suppose you are deciding getting its initial interest rate is a 10%. So at 10% you are deciding all the 5 projects. You are just analyzing the 5 projects, you are calculating the cost, you are calculating the benefits, then you are going for. So at 10% interest rate or lending rate of interest, you can see the project 1 is viable, project 2 is viable, 3 is viable, 4th is also viable, but 5th is not viable. Maybe possible at the rate of interest at 10%. Maybe your cost in the 5th project is much more than the benefits. You are incurring the loss. So you will not consider these 5 projects. Okay, take example. Suppose before implementing this project, the central bank changed the policy rates, and due to that, your lending rate is now come down to 8%. It's a decline from I to I1 from 10% to 8%. Again, you're analyzing the moment interest rate has declined. So many projects, I mean, all projects cost has declined accordingly. So at this 8%, again you are analyzing all the 5 projects. Then already you are knowing that at the 10%, if 4 projects was feasible, so definitely at 8% all will be feasible one. So again at 8% you can see this is feasible or viable, this is viable, it is viable, it is viable, and fifth also becomes viable. Why? Because the moment cost has declined, your now benefits is more than the cost, and fifth becomes the viable one. Take another example. Even before going to for realizing the investment, meanwhile your interest rate has increased from I to I2, and now interest rate is 12%. Maybe possible. So at 12%, when you're analyzing all the investments, you can see that maybe one is viable, two is viable, three is viable, but fourth is not, and fifth already it was not. Maybe possible. Because when interest rate has increased, you can see some of the projects is now becomes one of the project, again it's become the non-viable. So dear, what you are getting it? So you are getting it when interest rate I, this is the 10%, the total amount of investment is how much? 1000, 4 projects is feasible now or viable, and each project is 1000, so total is 4000 crore you are going for investments. Many economy is going for investments. When interest rate increase from I to I2, that is the when rate of interest is 12%, you can see the investment is only because 3 project is viable. 1, 2, and 3 means 3000 crores. So only you are investing 3000 crores. Suppose interest rate has declined from I to I1, that is it is a 8%, then you can see all are viable means 5000 crores are viable. You are investing. So dear, what you are getting basically in this relationship, you are just, and we are assumed all other things remaining. Yeah, we are saying all other things. All the things remaining same. We are not allowed to change in this. Meanwhile, these discussions only I allowed to change the lending rate of interest, and then we are seeing the result, how the investment is going to change. So what you are getting only one result here: higher the interest rate, lower the investments, and lower the investments, higher the lower the rate of interest, higher the investment. So here rate of interest has declined from 10 to 8%, means I to I1. Investment has increased from 4000 to 5000 crores. And when interest rate has increased from 10% to 12%, I to I2, now its investment has declined from 4000 to 3000 crores. So simply you are getting, if rate of interest increases, investment will decrease, and if rate of interest decreases, investment will go up. So yes, the lending rate of interest or market rate of interest and amount of investments, these two are inversely related. But yes, you have to say that when other things remaining same, you have to assume that. Why? Because take the example. Today, the whole world is facing the pandemic, and due to pandemic, they are facing the recession one. If you are reading the newspaper, you are also getting that so many companies stop the productions. They fire the casual laborers basically. Okay, they are not permanent, so they fire them. So what is happening? Because in today, the economy is facing the recessions. Okay, even you are knowing that RBI is trying to provide all the benefits to the investor. They are just giving the loan amount, that is providing their loan amount at low rate of interest. So even the rate of interest is lower, other benefits is also given by the government, but investors, they are not coming for investments. So if you're not assuming other things remaining same, maybe possible this relationship may not work, because maybe possible even the rate of interest is going to decrease, but if the same time economy is facing the recessionary effect, so even your investment will not pick up, which is happening today. because your economy is facing the recessions. Even at the lower rate of interest, the investors, they don't prefer to go for investment, because even at the lower rate of interest, they are going for investments and they are starting productions. But if they are not able to sell out their product in the market, what will happen? They will not get any amount. They will just incur the loss. So they will not prefer to go for that. Okay. So this concept you have to understand, and then you can say, okay, when you are reading your textbook, okay, and where it is simply written one line, here investment is the function of the market rate of interest, and it is inversely related. So why one line written? Because due to this reason. So you have to understand this concept, yes, why, how it works. Then you can come out, yes, this inverse relationship is there. Clear? So till here is clear to all of you?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So you are just getting this link. If you just think about, I'm just connecting you the very practical one. Uh, if suppose you are just reading the macroeconomics, and if you want to know, okay, what is the role of RBI? So you know RBI role and the government of the government role is very crucial for the economy. They can affect, they can change all the macroeconomic variables in the country. Take one example. The recently you are just thinking about, the central government is giving so many incentive to the person who borrowed the loan, and if the person they want to take loan for the investment purpose, the government or RBI is giving so many benefits. So RBI they changed the policy rates. RBI already changed the policy rates. If RBI changing the policy rate, and that is known as the, if you're reading the newspaper, you are getting the easing of monetary policy. Easing of monetary policy means the RBI changing or decreasing the policy rates. This is the concept. When you're reading the newspaper, I will just go through each and everything, don't worry. I'm just connecting it today. If RBI adopted the easy monetary policy, or during the monetary policy, easing monetary policy they are implemented. So easing monetary policy means RBI is decreasing the policy rates. If RBI decreasing the policy rates, it means the lending rate in the country lending rate or market rate of interest is going to decrease. So if lending rate is going to decrease due to falling policy rates, you are knowing that now from these discussions, investments in the country will go up, because just you have seen induced investments. Yes, investment is inversely related to rate of interest. So there is a fall in lending rate or market rate of interest, which leads to increase in increase in the investments. Go back to the first class of macroeconomics. I discussed with you that their aggregate demand is equal to consumptions plus investments plus government expenditure plus net exports. So when you're talking about aggregate demand, investment is one of the component. So the moment investment will go up, the aggregate demand in the country, aggregate demand for goods and services will also go up. Already in the last class I discussed with you, dear, investment has dual character. Investment is not only going to increase aggregate demand for goods and services, but also is increasing the production potential of the country. And that very simple example we took in the last class, and I given you so that you can well understand. So here you take, due to the change in the policy rate, that is a fall in policy rates, your lending rate or market rate of interest has declined. Due to that, the investment in the country has increased, and increase in investments leads to increase in aggregate demand for goods and services. And after that, you have already learned it. The basic concept of Keynes and classics already are given you. But in detail, we just started. These all are we are doing the Keynes theory, part of that. So what is the basic of the Keynesian theory? So Keynesian theory or Keynes theory says that the output is demand determined. Means the productions or production of any goods and services in the country depending on aggregate demand. If there is aggregate demand, then there is a productions. If there is increase in aggregate demand, there is increase in production. If there is a fall in aggregate demand, there is a fall in production. And productions will decide, the level of production will decide the level of employment. If higher the productions, higher the employment, lower the production, lower the employment. Take the example today, most of the factories or companies, already they are facing very less demand. Take the recent, it was in the news, your Mahindra, including your Tata. Okay, so since they are not able to sell out the product, so if they are not sell out the product, why? Because there is a lack of demand in the market. So if they are not able to sell out, so what will they do? They will cut down the production. If they will cut down the production, they don't need the labor, that much of labor. So the temporary and the casual labor, they just simply fire it first stage. And if suppose it's continued, that they can say the even permanent workers, I'm not continuing. Maybe they are paid some percentage of the salary, or maybe not, depending on the company. So finally, what's happened? The moment production has declined, the people fired by the companies, so unemployment will go up. Tomorrow, if production will increase, why? Because demand will be there in the market, so they will want to produce more. So simply they will hire all the laborers. So it is the reason that if you just follow the Keynes, then you will get one thing. Yes, the demand, aggregate demand is deciding the level of production, and level of production is deciding the level of employment. So what you're getting, if investment is going up, then aggregate demand will go up, and aggregate demand is going to increase the level of output, capital Y productions. And this output or income is going to increase the employment. And if your income increases, then it is going to increase your saving also. Just you check here. Only one change in policy rate by a central bank of any country of the world, including India, if they are changing the policy rates, it may affect most of the macroeconomic variables. We have seen it's affected the lending rate, it's affected the investments, it affected the aggregate demand, it's affected the output, it's also affected the employment and saving also. So when you want to study this macroeconomics, you have to relate this way here. Okay, and this way you need to write it in your exam. So separately and individually, you are trying to know, you are knowing the macroeconomic variables, but finally you must relate one variable with the other variables. And the moment, the day you are able to relate all the variables, if anything is happening, how it is going to affect the whole variables, the whole economy. Supposedly now you completed the macroeconomics mechanism. Okay. So when you're saying ki macroeconomics, so macroeconomics means when you're going for study this macroeconomics. So first of all, you need to know, like investment already I discussed with you in the last class. And capital also I discussed and also differentiated between these two. Ki capital is the means of productions and it is a stock concept. Investment is the rate of increase in capital. Rate of increase in capital or rate of formation of capital or rate of capital formations is known as investments. So investment is a flow concept because you are measuring investment during a time period. But capital is a stock concept because you're measuring a capital at the point. Okay, so first we given the concept, then we are just connected it with what are the factors the investment is depending. Then we discussed yes, how it is going to affect the overall country. So in this step we are moving. Clear. So till here, is it clear to all of you or not? Because what I want, any topic, if I complete here, it means it will be with you and you are clear, then only we are able to understand the next step. So whatever things we are doing here, complete at that moment. If you're little bit you are not getting, read from your textbook which is given, which is with you. And any doubts, any problems you are facing, first you discuss with me before starting the next topic. After clearing that, we will go to the next topic. Go in this way. I think it's a very easy subject topic also. You will get better. You can just clear it. Now tell me till here anything, anyone has any issue or you want to ask anything, you can ask. Aman,
Yes, sir.
kya hua? You are, am I not audible to you?
Hello.
Am I audible to you?
Yes, sir.
So I am asking something. Is
Yes,
it
sir. It's
clear?
clear.
Is clear?
Yes,
So
sir.
in, okay. Anurag Gupta,
Yes, sir.
is it clear?
Yes, sir. I understood.